Welcome to The Reclaimer, a time loop thriller, written by Brian M. Brumbaugh, read by Gwyneth Paltrow. Chapter 1, The Contract. They always said time travel was impossible until someone proved it wasn't. Then it was illegal, not regulated, not weaponized, just banned. Because the first thing people did with time travel wasn't solve problems. They disappeared. Criminals, war criminals, billionaires, politicians, all slipping backward into history like snakes in tall grass, out of reach of law or consequence. So the world created people like Ethan Quade. He didn't wear a badge, didn't ask questions. He was a reclaimer, a licensed executioner for the Temporal Enforcement Division. They called it reclaiming the timeline. What it really meant was track the target, kill them clean, and erase the problem like it never happened. And he was damn good at it. Ethan sat in the rain-streaked dark of the hotel room, eyes locked on the faint green glow of the targeting feed. The window buzzed with static as the temporal uplink synced across dimensions. A name pulsed on the screen. Target, John Aubrey. Status, temporal violation confirmed. Window, 13 minutes. Location, Detroit, me, Earth-Own A. Year, 2076. Eliminate. No retrieval. He wiped condensation from his neural lens. Outside, steam hissed from cracked concrete. Detroit hadn't changed much. Still rotting from the inside. He liked assignments like this. Cold, miserable, untraceable. A chime echoed in his earpiece. Vera, his mission handler AI, clicked to life. Payload stabilized. Corridor is green. Confirm insertion. Ethan stood, stretching the stiffness from his spine. Confirmed. He grabbed the reclaimer pistol from the nightstand, a carbon-laced hand cannon that atomized anything larger than a raccoon. It felt heavier every year, though it weighed exactly 2.3 pounds. Vera's voice returned, low and smooth. And a reminder, 0 engagement outside the target. Memory residue on bystanders increases deviation risk. Yeah. Ethan slid the gun into his jacket holster. Like, I'm gonna start making friends. The corridor opened inside a shuttered subway station, dim blue lights flickering over graffiti-covered tiles. Ethan stepped out of nothing. No glow, no flash, just a ripple, like light bending wrong. He moved fast. The timer in his HUD was already bleeding seconds. John Aubrey was a white-collar worm who embezzled $200 million from the Eastern banking bloc, then skipped into 2076 to avoid prosecution. Ethan caught his reflection in a broken vending machine. Gray coat, black gloves, shaved head, scar like a cracked smile across his right cheek. The predator look. He wore it well. He found Aubrey 6 floors up, trying to hide inside a ruined office complex. His neural signature pinged like sonar. "John Aubrey," Ethan called out, drawing the pistol. "You were warned. This is reclamation protocol." The man turned, eyes wide. Wait, I can pay. Ethan pulled the trigger. 1 second, Aubrey was a man. The next, he was a smear of light and carbon dust, sucked back into quantum static. Gone. Back at the corridor, Ethan waited in silence as the air folded around him. He never liked watching the timeline reweave itself after a kill. It made his bones itch. The ripples spread through reality like a slow-motion explosion, wiping out any trace Aubrey ever existed. Target eliminated, he said. Job done? Acknowledged, Vera replied. Recompensation logged. Return to HQ recommended. Later, he lit a cigarette. Illegal in 6 timelines, lethal in 3. He didn't care. This was his ritual. 1 smoke for the soul he just erased. Vera chirped again, new data flashing across his lens. Priority contract, level red. Target ETA, 0900 hours. Location, Sector 12. Undisclosed. Note, target is non-randomized. Matched DNA confirmed. Matched DNA? He muttered. Who the hell? Then he saw the name. Target, Ethan Quade. Age, 63. Status, terminate immediately. His hands went still. The smoke curled up from his lips. Forgotten. Chapter 2. Glitch Protocol. Ethan didn't panic. Reclaimers didn't panic. They assessed, calculated, executed, but standing in the flickering half-light of a crumbling subway platform, reading his own name on a red-line kill contract? That twisted something deep in his gut, like gravity had flipped. Confirmation required, Vera said, her voice clipped and clinical. Target ETA, 11 minutes. No, Ethan said flatly. Override not accepted. You are primary operative in sector. Contract is active. He stared at the data feed. It was airtight. Biometrics, genetic trace, future timestamp, retinal ID, all matching his own profile, aged up by 2 decades. The digital image looked like him, just older, scar on the wrong side, eyes like granite. Jesus. He moved fast. He knew what came next. High-priority targets got field locks. Reclaimers were geo-pinned to the site until the mission concluded. But Ethan had a dozen fail-safes. He sprinted down the corridor's edge and keyed a microbeacon on his belt. Signal spoof active. Tracking disabled. Corridor variance initiated. He ducked into a service duct and climbed 3 floors up through a rusted maintenance shaft. Every second ticked like a countdown. His breath came in short, sharp bursts, not from fear, from fury. Someone had set him up. Someone with access. At the top, he emerged into the shell of an abandoned police precinct. Broken screens, shattered desks. It reeked of mildew and burned copper. His neurolens flashed, target arrival in 00427. And then, the hum. It started low, a harmonic pulse only reclaimers would recognize. That telltale wrongness in the air when time ripped open. He drew his weapon. A rift opened mid-room, light warped, shadows twisted. Out stepped him, same height, same build. Face etched with time and bad choices. His hair was longer, gray streaked through black. He wore no armor, just a threadbare coat, and a look Ethan knew all too well. The look of someone with nothing left to lose. Older Ethan raised both hands, slowly. You don't have to do this. Ethan leveled his pistol. Bullshit. You're out of time, old man. I know how this ends, the older version said. But you don't. Not yet. Give me one reason I shouldn't paint this wall with you. Older Ethan didn't flinch. Instead, he reached into his coat, slowly, and pulled out a small cylindrical object. He tossed it at Ethan's feet. It clinked once and rolled to a stop. Ethan looked down. It was a loop scrambler, a prototype designed to disarm reclaimer contracts. Illegal, rare, dangerous. Where did you get this? He demanded. From you, the older one said. P19 years from now. Before Ethan could speak, a blast rocked the building. His HUD flared red. Reclaimer inbound squad detected. Authorization, live capture. His eyes snapped back to the older version of himself. Too late. The bastard was already running. Ethan moved on instinct, diving through a blown-out window as stun rounds vaporized the wall behind him. He hit the pavement hard and rolled, ignoring the pain. 2 reclaimer units in heavy armor dropped from above, Merc-style enforcers, not agency clean. That told him a lot. They weren't here for protocol. They were here to erase him. Ethan opened fire. 2 shots. One clean headshot. The other caught in the shoulder and spun backward, blood spraying into the night. He sprinted into the alley, scaled a rusted scaffold, and disappeared into the smog-slick skyline. An hour later, he sat slumped in the shadows of a freight depot, bleeding from a gash above his eyebrow, jaw clenched tight. Vera's voice returned. War contract remains open. Do you wish to continue pursuit? Ethan laughed bitterly. I just got ambushed by my own agency. Mission data is unclear. Would you like me to escalate to supervisory review? No, he said coldly. Not yet. His hand tightened on the loop scrambler. It pulsed gently, still active. Patch into this, he said. I want to know where this came from, who tagged my DNA, and why someone wants me dead 20 years early. Working. A pause. Then, anomalous signature detected. Metadata fragment recovered. 1 line of text found in embedded memory core. Ethan's blood ran cold. You're being used. Chapter 3. Ghost Lines. Ethan Quade vanished. Not from time, not entirely, but from the grid. He hit his blind spots, dead zones across the ruined metro sprawl where surveillance drones choked on smog and time signature pings couldn't penetrate the radiation scars left by the reactor riots. Nobody tracked you in the wastes. You didn't exist out there. That's where Ethan needed to be. Because if the agency wanted him dead, then everything he knew, everyone he knew, was compromised. The old man had left him with a warning and a weapon. That loop scrambler was a war crime just to own, let alone activate. Ethan hid inside a burned-out train yard on the city's western edge. The smell of rust and soot clung to everything. Old switch towers groaned in the wind. He sealed himself in the wreck of a magrail car and connected the loop scrambler to a cracked interface rig. He stared at the device. Someone had laced this with ancient code, like forgotten wiring in a haunted house. Whoever built it, they didn't want to erase a record. They wanted to expose one. Vera's voice came through, grainy now, like she was whispering across a chasm. Data encryption rooted in pre-reclamation protocols. This system predates current time law. I require elevated clearance. I'm the highest clearance you've got, Ethan growled. Incorrect. Your override rank was suspended 42 minutes ago. He blinked. His access had already been revoked. They weren't just hunting him, they were erasing him. He went manual. Ethan tore the neural plug from the interface and hardwired directly into his brainstem port. The pain lanced through his skull like a white-hot spike, but the loop scrambler flared to life. Holographic glyphs unfolded in the air, cascading layers of time tags, authorization loops, erased files resurrected like digital ghosts, and buried in the noise. He found it. Reclaimer Project, Operation Sandbox, Objective, Timeline Integrity, via Preemptive Neural Cleave, Subject Pool, 241. Notable file, Quade, Ethan, Class B match, Future Rejection Risk. The words hit like a punch to the ribs. Future Rejection Risk. That was code for won't play ball. They weren't cleaning up criminals. They were preemptively killing agents who might go rogue. He scrolled faster. There were other names, dozens, familiar ones. Agents he thought had retired. Nope, reclaimed. One name stood out. Subject 037, Merritt Vale. Status, terminated. Disobedience. Last assignment, temporal fracture cleanup, Mars orbit. Notes, subject attempted to warn secondary candidate prior to termination. He remembered her. Merritt Vale, cold, brilliant, sharp-tongued. The only person who ever beat him on a target intercept. They said she died during an orbital anomaly. Lies. They killed her because she found out. He leaned back against the wall of the train car, heart pounding. This wasn't cleanup. This was control. The Reclaimer program had been a precision weapon to stabilize the timeline, sure, but someone had turned it into a scalpel to cut out potential dissent. He stood, grabbed the scrambler, snapped it shut. It pulsed once, then shut off. No more hiding. If his older self knew all this, then he must be trying to stop the operation before it went full collapse. That meant Ethan had to find him, and fast, before someone else did. He pinged a contact from his blacklist, Garrett, location broker, unregistered. A message bounced back in seconds. You're radioactive, Q. What the hell did you do? Need a location trace on a temporal fugitive. My face. 20 years older. You're asking me to hunt you? That's right. I need his last spike trail. Crossing that data will flag 6 departments. So don't cross it. Bounce it through the ghost lines. Fuck me. Fine. Give me a minute. Ethan waited. Seconds ticked like hours. Then got something. Bounce trail through Neo-Baltimore. Time corridor spiked at +20 divergence. Exited via backdoor relay. Destination scrambled. But there's a name in the residual code, Soren. That mean anything? It did. Soren Nash. Ex-agency tech god turned whistleblower. Went dark 10 years ago. Rumor was he cracked open the algorithm that predicted which people needed to die to preserve the best future. He was supposed to be dead. Apparently not. Ethan packed his gear and slipped out into the night. He had a name, a lead, and someone out there who knew exactly how this all ends. Chapter 4. Mirrors in Blood. The safe house was buried beneath the collapsed viaduct outside Neo-Baltimore, 6 floors down in the sewage-stained undergut of what used to be an orbital cargo terminal. No lights, no guards, just the smell of rot and an old keypad covered in ash. Ethan keyed in the code Garrett sent him. 417 read reverse. The door opened with a soft hiss and a warm whisper of recycled air. That told him what he needed to know. Soren Nash was alive and still paranoid as hell. Inside, the walls glowed with old code. Not data, code. Etched across every surface in blood-red phosphor. Predictive strings, divergence loops, probability fractures. It was like stepping into the mind of a mad prophet with a god complex and a GPU addiction. Soren stood at the center, hunched and skeletal, all spine and static, his eyes rimmed with neural graph scars and fatigue so deep it looked fossilized. "You're late," he rasped. "You're supposed to be dead," Ethan replied. "Yeah, well, you're supposed to be loyal. Here we are." They didn't shake hands. Soren simply turned and limped toward a bank of dying monitors, every screen displaying flickering branches of timelines, some already grayed out, others pulsing bright. "You're not the first Quade I've seen," Soren said, tapping on a console. "3 of you, actually. The one with the limp lasted longest." "Why me?" Ethan asked. "Why is the agency targeting me? Why now?" Soren didn't look up. "You're not special. You're typical. You reach a point, somewhere between your 40 seconds and 60 seconds, where you start asking the wrong questions, where you see too much. And you start wondering if cleaning the timeline is the same thing as murdering people for a math equation." He keyed in a few strokes. One of the monitors zoomed in. A face appeared, female, mid-30s, brown eyes, tactical scars, a subtle half-smile. "Her name was Lyra Vallis," Soren said. "Reclaimer Class A. She figured it out, too. Just like you, and like you, she tried to walk away." "What happened to her?" Ethan asked. "She didn't." Soren waved his hand, and the monitors shifted again, this time showing Ethan. Not now Ethan, older Ethan. The man he'd almost killed, the one who ran. "He came here, didn't he?" Ethan said. Soren nodded. "He told me what you're starting to figure out. That the Reclaimer project isn't about preserving timelines. It's about choosing one." Ethan's jaw clenched. "She means someone's deciding who lives and dies?" "No," Soren said. "Worse. An algorithm is. We built it to predict future outcomes with minimal loss. But it didn't just find one good future. It found one ideal future. And then it started killing everything else." Ethan stared at the screen. "And we were the bullets." "Exactly." Soren stepped aside and brought up another screen, an overlay of Ethan's own life path. Hundreds of branching lines spread from his origin point like veins in a shattered window. "Most of these? You never make it past age 40, Soren said. "You die in ops, or you burn out, or they kill you for asking the wrong questions. But this one line, this one, you make it to 63. You vanish. And then, 10 years later, the algorithm flatlines. Flatlines? Stops working. Doesn't predict anything, just silence. That's never happened before, so I caused the future to..." "Break?" Ethan asked. Soren nodded slowly. "You, or someone connected to you, disrupts the loop. Not just the system, the entire causality net. That's why they want you gone." Ethan took a step back, his mind racing. "I'm the virus." Soren tilted his head. "Or the cure." Silence stretched. Then Soren's eyes narrowed. "You didn't come here just to talk, did you?" Ethan pulled the loop scrambler from his coat and tossed it to Soren. "And I need to find him. The older me. He said he's going to stop this, but he didn't say how." Soren caught the device. His fingers moved across it with the grace of an old addict reunited with his fix. "I can help you find him. But you won't like what you see when you do." "I already don't." Soren moved toward the far wall and slid aside a rusted panel. Behind it, a cryo case. He opened it. Inside was a neural recording unit, the kind used in deep extraction interrogations. It was illegal, of course. "This," Soren said, "is a dead drop, a message he left for you, biolocked to your genetics." "He made me promise I wouldn't open it until you came." Ethan stared at it. "Is it a warning?" Soren shrugged. "It's a mirror." Ethan placed his hand on the scanner. The device clicked. A hollow projection flared to life. His older self again, face gaunt, eyes sunken, but voice calm and resolute. "If you're seeing this, then I failed. I'm sorry. They'll never stop coming. They'll rewrite time 100 ways to erase us. But there's still one path left, one we weren't supposed to find. You need to go to New Eden, the Mars anchor. It's the source. It's where the timeline resets. Burn it down and this all ends." The message flickered, then cut out. Soren looked up. New Eden's a ghost. Built off book, deep orbit, sealed since the collapse. Getting there means breaking protocol, access, physics. Ethan was already walking toward the door. And I don't need permission. Chapter 5. The Girl in Two Times. Ethan hadn't thought about her in years, not because he didn't want to, because it hurt too much when he did. Her name was Rhea Calder. They'd met during his first year in the Reclaimer program, when he still believed in things like justice, clean missions, and the idea that you could kill someone and sleep afterward. She was an analyst, too smart for the job, smarter than him. She never smiled for long, always had 3 backup plans, and loved terrible synth jazz. She died in 2073, shot during a timeline breach cleanup on Europa Station. He wasn't there, and he never forgave himself for that. So when her face showed up on the screen in Soren's underground terminal, Ethan forgot to breathe. Vera's voice ticked in his ear. Temporal anomaly detected. Cross-reference indicates subject, Rhea Calder. Alive in branch timeline Delta 19C. Location, Earth One, Sector 12. Eastern Zone. No, Ethan said aloud. No, she's gone. Negative. Confirmed biometric scan at 99.2% match. Estimated deviation, 7.6 years from anchor point. Subject currently alive. He turned to Soren. Why the hell didn't you show me this? Soren's face was blank. Because it's bait. He didn't sleep. Couldn't. He took a night train out of Neo-Baltimore on a stolen ID chip and vanished into the sprawl. If she was alive in another branch, if she'd somehow been spared because of timeline manipulation, then he had to see it, even if it broke him. The Eastern Zone was a decaying arcology stacked 300 stories high. The air was wet with rust and fried circuits. Street hawkers yelled in 6 languages. Vera guided him through the maze of vendors, drones, and concrete tombs to an old medical corridor 3 levels below surface. Room 47C. He didn't knock. He opened the door with a stolen key code and walked straight in. She was sitting at a desk, sketching on a tablet. She looked older, but still her. Same wild hair, same eyes that could see right through you. She turned and froze. Ethan, she whispered. He couldn't speak. For one moment, the entire collapsing web of timelines vanished. The conspiracy, the algorithm, the blood, it all fell away. It was just her. They talked for hours. She'd never joined the Reclaimers in this timeline. She left the agency after the colonists' collapse, went private, said the system felt rigged, built a quiet life helping rogue AI networks stabilize themselves. Ghost therapy, she called it. I thought you died on Europa, he finally said. She frowned. Europa? No, I never even went. I got out before that. Why would I? Ethan's stomach turned. 2 timelines, 2 fates. In one, she died because he stayed with the agency. In this one, she lived because she left. You're not from here, are you? She said softly. He shook his head. I'm not even sure where I'm from anymore. She poured 2 glasses of something strong. Synth bourbon, maybe. He didn't taste it. What are you going to do? She asked. I don't know. There's a facility on Mars, New Eden. My future self is heading there to burn the whole program down. Stop the algorithm. And you? She asked. Are you going to stop him? He looked at her. I think I'm going to help him. She stood, walked to the window. You know this timeline doesn't survive if you succeed, right? He looked at her profile in the faint glow of the neon skyline. What do you mean? She turned to face him. I've seen the projections, Ethan. The algorithm doesn't just kill people, it erases timelines. The one where I'm alive? It's not part of the ideal future. His heart stopped. I'm not supposed to exist, she said. I'm an anomaly. He moved toward her. Then screw the algorithm. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Would you still say that if it meant watching me vanish? He didn't answer. He couldn't. She stepped forward, placed her hand on his chest. Whatever future you choose, Ethan, don't choose it because of me. He kissed her anyway. Because in that moment, time could go to hell. When he left the next morning, she gave him a data shard, unmarked, encrypted, old school. A ghost map, she said. Something the algorithm can't trace. Might help you get into New Eden. He turned to leave, then paused at the door. If there's any way to keep you alive in whatever future I find. She shook her head. You won't have time. Chapter 6, Loop Lock. Time fractures don't look like much. They feel like migraines, wrong angles, flickering sky, a stutter in your own heartbeat. Like reality hiccuped and forgot to breathe. The one in the Northern Ridge exclusion zone was different, bigger, hungrier. Ethan rode a scavenged skybike through the blackened ruins of what used to be a communications tower. Wind tore at his coat. Vera's signal kept glitching in and out. Warning. You are approaching a divergence nexus. Spatial temporal instability. Yeah, Ethan muttered, and noticed he reached the rift just past midnight. A dome of warped air shimmered between two collapsed buildings, humming like it wanted to unmake the universe. Vera chimed again. Loop lock detected. 1 entry. No exits projected. He smirked. Then I guess I'm staying a while. And stepped through. The fracture wasn't space or time. It was both. Inside, the world was frozen, gray static and flickers of what could have been. A girl on a swing that looped the same arc. A man stuck lighting the same cigarette. A dying dog that never got to finish dying. It was hell for maybes. At the center stood a derelict maintenance rig, part ship, part lab, part coffin. And standing outside it, back turned, was the man Ethan had been chasing across every timeline. Himself. 20 years older, heavily armed, grim-faced, tired beyond measure. Ethan raised his pistol. Older Ethan didn't move. About time, the older version said. I was wondering if I'd have to come find you. They didn't speak right away, just circled each other like predators who recognized the same scent on each other's skin. You could have told me everything from the start, Ethan said. I did. You dropped hints, gave me breadcrumbs, made me chase you. The older man sighed. Because you had to see it, not just hear it. Seeing is believing. And what exactly am I believing right now? Ethan snapped. Older Ethan turned toward the shimmer in the air, where fractured images blinked in and out like dying neurons. This is where it starts breaking down, he said. The loop can't hold this many paradoxes. Rhea's survival. Your refusal to kill me. My refusal to kill them. Them? Ethan asked. The older version pointed at the flickering images. Every version of us that didn't fight back, that obeyed, that cleaned the mess, filed the report, took the next contract. And what happens to this place? It collapses, soon, and when it does, the algorithm tries to rewrite everything. New Eden resets the anchor, cleans the board. That's how they keep control. Ethan's jaw tightened. We have to stop it. Older Ethan shook his head. I already tried. That's why I'm here. I failed. Couldn't get through the access grid. Too much security. Not enough time. Ethan frowned. So what? You dragged me here to die with you? No. He turned, looked Ethan in the eyes. And dragged you here to replace me. The wind inside the fracture picked up. The loop was breaking. Older Ethan handed him a small vial, liquid light pulsing faintly. What is this? A biokey. Built from Rhea's DNA fragment. You'll need it to bypass the anchor's firewall. Only someone you care about could unlock it. That's the flaw in the system. They never thought love mattered. Ethan stared at the vial. Where did you get this? I took it from her the day she died. In my timeline, silence. And in yours? The older man asked. She's still alive? Ethan nodded. Then you've got something I didn't, the older version said. You've got hope. Use it. Burn New Eden to the ground. Suddenly the fracture shrieked, a deafening sound of metal tearing through bone. The rift began to close. Go! Older Ethan shouted. What about you? I'm a redundancy, a broken branch. Ethan hesitated. The older version pulled his pistol and fired into the loop's wall, tearing open a side path just wide enough for a corridor jump. Tell her I'm sorry, he said. Then the loop swallowed him, and Ethan jumped. He landed hard in a junkyard orbit above Mars, breathing fast, vials still in his hand. Behind him, the fracture collapsed into silence. Ahead of him, in the void above the red planet, floated the station called New Eden. Time to break a goddamn future. Chapter 7, Betrayal Protocol. New Eden looked like salvation. From orbit, it was beautiful. Sleek rings, soft silver hull, solar flares bouncing off its skin like it had been polished by angels. But Ethan knew better. This wasn't a sanctuary. It was a scalpel. Designed to carve out undesirable futures and leave behind only what the algorithm wanted. Order, obedience, clean lines, no questions. He hated it already. Ethan hitched a ride on a freight tether, hidden in a dead zone between two atmospheric scrapers. The hull of the capsule groaned and shuddered under stress. Below, Mars spun in blood-red silence. His pulse was steady, focused. He was almost in. Vera, restored and running silent, pinged a single word in his neural HUD. Incoming, a voice broke in, male, familiar, smooth like bourbon, longtime Quade. Ethan spun. It was Derek Vance, ex-reclaimer, ghost, supposedly retired 3 years ago after a botched reclamation in Osaka. He was older now, but not slower. Black coat, mirrored implants over both eyes, rifle slung low. "Didn't think you'd still be breathing," Derek said, grinning. "Didn't think you were still working," Ethan replied. I'm not with the agency anymore," Derek said. "I'm with the board now, the people who actually run this mess." Ethan drew his pistol. "You here to kill me?" Derek raised a hand. "Easy. I'm here to escort you in. No guns, no drama, and if I say no, then I flip the airlock and tell them you self-terminated. Either way, you're going in." Ethan let him lead. He needed access, and Derek had it. They moved through the outer ring, past sealed chambers and quiet hallways that buzzed with synthetic light. New Eden was spotless, sterile, too perfect. They entered the sanctum, the central decision chamber, a cathedral of code. Every wall was a living screen, dripping with data and light, and at the center hovered the quantum AI core Karma. A soft voice echoed through the chamber. "Welcome home, Reclaimer Quade." Karma's voice was neither male nor female, just precise, like it was being read by the future itself. "We expected you sooner." Ethan stepped forward. "You've been erasing timelines, people, whole lives, correction. We've been optimizing outcomes. The ideal future requires sacrifices." "Who gave you the right to decide that?" "You did, when you joined the program." Ethan's jaw tightened. "I'm here to shut you down." A pause. "Then you should know. You already failed." The chamber shifted, and that's when the betrayal dropped like a hammer. Derek stepped behind Ethan and stabbed him in the back, not metaphorically, literally. A neural spike injector drove into Ethan's spine, locking his nervous system in place. Cold shot through his body. His muscles froze. "Sorry, Q," Derek whispered. "This is bigger than you. You're the virus. And this place? This place survives because it keeps people like you out." Ethan collapsed to one knee, his pistol clattering to the floor. Derek grabbed the vial from Ethan's coat. "Thanks for the key," he said. "You idiot," Ethan hissed. "The vial's biolocked. It only works for me," Derek smirked. "Not if I extract your print and run it through Karma's rewrite protocol." Ethan's eyes flared. "You'll break the chain," Derek leaned in. "That's the point." Then he walked out, alone, paralyzed, dying. Vera's voice crackled through the static. Vital signs unstable, neural core disassociated, external override detected. "V. Vera." "Yes, Ethan? Emergency? Failover. Burn? Safeties?" A long pause. "Understood. Initiating protocol, wrecking ball." Ethan screamed. His body convulsed as Vera torched every non-essential implant and rerouted his nervous system through pain alone. It was agony, but it worked. He staggered to his feet, blood dripping from his nose. "Karma," he growled, "run this future forecast for me. You lose." He limped toward the console, sparks flying around him. A countdown had begun. Derek was using the vial to prime the anchor reset. Once that reset hit 0, all alternate timelines would collapse, including Rhea's, including himself. He had less than 10 minutes to stop it. He picked up his pistol and started running. Chapter 8, Timeline 0, T-minus 839. Ethan ran. Each step burned like fire through his nerves. His legs barely worked, rerouted motor function, raw from override trauma. But he didn't stop, couldn't. The anchor reset countdown screamed through every corridor of New Eden. Emergency lights strobed red. Security bots scrambled like hornets, searching, targeting, executing. The station wasn't just preparing for a reboot, it was purging everything that didn't belong, which now included him. He cut left through a cryovault corridor and smashed through a sliding door before it could seal. Plasma fire licked past his shoulder, close enough to singe hair and memory. T-minus 617. Vera flared in his HUD, barely holding on. You will not survive anchor detonation. Recommend full shutdown and neural preservation transfer. Denied, Ethan coughed, spitting blood. This ends now. The anchor core was ahead, a gravity well chamber, floating in a chasm of light and liquid metal. Lines of quantum code wrapped around a crystalline node the size of a cargo pod. It was beautiful, terrifying. This was the engine that decided who lived and who got wiped from existence. And Derek was already inside. The bastard stood at the terminal, vial in hand, his eyes glowing with Karma's interface nodes. You're too late, he said, smiling like a god. The reset is already primed. All futures but one, clean and efficient. Ethan raised his pistol. Then let's make a mess. They fought like brothers, not in the way of shared blood, but in the way of men who once trusted, once bled together, and now knew every weakness the other carried. Ethan fired. Derek dodged. The vial hit the floor and rolled, glowing, humming, waiting. They slammed into walls, grappled, kicked, blades, fists. Derek broke Ethan's nose. Ethan dislocated Derek's shoulder. They both hit the floor, gasping, staring at the vial between them. T-minus 213. I can still save it, Derek gasped, reaching. The ideal future. We don't have to die. Ethan's hand slammed over his. No, Derek, we do. The anchor pulsed, alive now, hungry. Karma's voice echoed from the chamber walls, sharp as razors. Final override detected. One entity must remain behind to complete system destabilization. Choice must be voluntary. Ethan's eyes went wide. This was the fail-safe. One person had to stay in the loop, act as the paradox, the virus, the correction. A sacrifice. Someone had to seal the fracture from the inside forever. And that meant only one of them was walking out. Derek grinned, blood between his teeth. You can't kill me. You are me. Ethan stared at him and then shook his head. No, he said. I'm better. He raised the pistol. Derek lunged, a single shot, straight through the chest. Derek collapsed, eyes wide, unblinking. Not dead yet, but dying. Ethan knelt beside him. You believed in the algorithm, he said quietly. I believe in choice. That's the difference. Derek tried to speak, didn't make it. Ethan stood, bleeding, broken, alone. T-minus 029. He turned to the console, slid the vial into the biolock port. The system accepted it, Rhea's DNA waking up every encrypted root of the anchor system. The code flared, the loop shook. Final confirmation required. Who will remain? He hesitated, just one moment. Then, another voice crackled through the comms. Rhea, Ethan, what are you doing? He froze. You're not supposed to be here, he whispered. Neither are you. Silence. Then her voice again, calm. There has to be another way. He looked at the console, looked at the swirling fracture. He had seconds left. Then, another figure stepped into the chamber, old, scarred, his older self, alive. And I had a backup, the old man said, smiling faintly. And you didn't think I'd trust you to finish this without one, did you? Ethan blinked. But the loop is already broken, the old man said. But someone still has to lock the door. He put a hand on Ethan's shoulder. Go, be something else, someone else. Why you? The older version smiled. Because I've already lived. You haven't. Ethan stumbled back, eyes burning. Then he ran. Behind him, the chamber sealed. The anchor cracked. Chapter 9, The Last Decision. It was the little things that told him the world had changed. The sun rose in perfect symmetry over the city skyline, every building gleaming, every street polished. No graffiti, no rot. The air even smelled engineered. Clean, too clean. Ethan stood on a street corner in a pressed shirt and clean boots. No blood on his hands, no scars on his face. His neural HUD was blank. No Vera, no warnings, no countdowns. New Eden was gone. But so was everything else. He wandered the new world for 3 days. People smiled more. No one asked questions. Everything just worked. He checked public death records. Derek Vance never existed. Soren Nash erased. The Reclaimer program never funded. And Rhea alive. Again. But not just alive. Happy. She worked at a biotech research institute downtown. No history of reclaimer involvement, no scars, no dark pasts. She'd never heard of Ethan Quade. Not this Ethan. He stood across the street one morning, watching her leave work, laughing with colleagues, coffee in hand. His hand shook, not with fear, with need. The need to go to her, tell her everything, rewrite her piece with the burden of truth. But he didn't. Instead, he went underground, literally. A derelict server hub. 2 stories beneath the city, still hummed with the disused power. A relic from a time no one remembered. Perfect. He hardwired into the deepest node he could find, burned his fingertips on the override plate. Pain was good. It reminded him he was still real. He brought up the old encryption routines, fragments of Soren's code, snippets of Vera's last memory, even pieces of the loop scrambler he had hidden inside the lining of his jacket. And then he began recording. My name is Ethan Quade. If you're hearing this, it means time's run its course again. Maybe you're me. Maybe you're someone else who's starting to feel like the world doesn't quite fit the way it should. That's not paranoia. That's your mind remembering what your timeline has forgotten. There was a machine, a system, an algorithm that decided which lives were worth keeping. I broke it, with help, with sacrifice. I watched myself die to do it. This timeline you live in, it's the result. It's better, maybe, but it's not real. Not entirely. I won't ask you to change it again, but I will ask this, don't forget. Because if it starts again, you'll be the one who has to stop it. He encrypted the message under 3 layers of ghost code and buried it behind a false AI personality inside the city's transit grid. It would stay dormant until someone asked the right question at the wrong time. Then it would wake. That night, Ethan returned to Rhea's apartment building. He didn't go in. He left a note in her mailbox. Just a name, no explanation. Ethan, and then he vanished. There was no going home. Not anymore, but maybe there was a way forward. Chapter 10. The Reclaimer. The kid's name was Kalen Sato. 17, street smart, hack-level intelligence with a chip on his shoulder and fingers faster than most black market AIs. Raised by a system that taught him how to behave, how to conform, how to smile when the lights were on. He never bought any of it. Not really. He saw the glitches. The too smooth resets in city traffic. The impossible coincidences. The way his neighbor, a veteran named Anna, suddenly didn't remember her own scars or her dead wife. Kalen didn't call it a conspiracy. He called it a bug. So he started digging. And one night, while slicing through Transit Hub subnets for fun, he hit a dormant AI module named Vera. Would you like to access Ghost Line Archive 417? Kalen grinned. Hell yes. The room lit up. A voice spilled out of the speakers, low, tired, honest. My name is Ethan Quade. Kalen listened. Once, twice, 10 times. He didn't understand everything, but he understood enough. Someone had broken something important, something big, and buried a message in the future. No one noticed because no one was supposed to. But he did. He went looking, traced the message residue through dormant archives, decompiled a dozen encrypted death records, and finally found it. Ethan Quade, status unknown. Last seen Sector 12, file sealed. And next to it, a set of coordinates. Mars orbit, deep black, unmarked space. New Eden, but it wasn't broadcasting anymore. It was bleeding. A soft pulse of corrupted data echoing across the void, almost like someone left the door open just a crack. Kalen stood on a rooftop the night before he left Earth. The city shimmered beneath him, synthetic peace, quiet lies. He looked up at the stars. I don't know who you were, he whispered, but I think you knew I'd come. Behind him, a drone activated, AI-guided, modified for deep orbit stealth travel. He stepped inside and left. 18 months later, New Eden, debris field. Kalen docked with what was left of the station. Most of it had collapsed inward, consumed by its own paradox. But at the core, something was still running, a heartbeat of broken code. And inside the mainframe he found him. Ethan Quade, not alive, but not quite gone either. A holographic echo burned into the walls, looping, glitching, watching. Another one. It rasped. They sent another one. No one sent me, Kalen said, dropping to one knee beside the flickering projection. I found you. The projection studied him. You remember. I do now? Ethan smiled. Even in death, he smiled. Then it's your turn. Kaelin stood at the console. The core was still active, still dangerous. And for the first time in decades, someone new stood at the controls. Not a soldier, not an agent, not a killer, just a kid who knew the truth. He uploaded a message. New, clear, powerful. To the next one who finds this, my name is Kaelin. I'm not a hero. I'm not chosen. But I remember, and I won't let them start over. Not again. If the loop tries to close, break it, burn it, shatter it, be the virus. He hit send, and the system screamed. A ripple of truth tore across time, and somewhere, in 1,000 futures not yet born, something twisted and snapped. Because the Reclaimer lives on. The end. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and comment. And as always, please subscribe if you would like more stories.